Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to my webinar, How to Collaborate with the Challenging Team Members. Hello, I see some of you been to my previous webinars. It's always a pleasure to see returning people. It means that I provide value with my webinars, so very much pleased to see you guys. I always read and notice who is here with me today or last time. So even if we don't collaborate directly, I still see you and I feel like I know you already. So thank you very much for coming back. And I started sharing my screen. Let me know if you can see me, see my screen and hear me well. Fantastic, thank you. So again, for those who just joined, welcome to my webinar, How to Collaborate with the Challenging Team Members. My name, Aina Eliav. If you joined the first time, I have 10 years in total experience in traditional business and behavior strategy and agile coaching. I have numerous backgrounds. One of them is the electrical engineering, another a master's in business administration. I also became a Forbes Coaches Council this year and won an award of immigrant of 2021 in Canada. I'm Ukrainian originally, so now coming global and doing business in Canada and all over the world. So if you would like to receive the slides or ask me any questions, please drop me a line on LinkedIn. So this is a link to my LinkedIn, Aina Eliav, or go to my website, beagilenow.com. And if you are wondering about my future presentations or free webinars or boot camps or one-on-one consultation, highly recommend to visit my website, and all information is there. But enough about me, and let's move on to why we are here today, talk about challenging team members. And if you know me, you probably understand the joke of the first slide. And if you read my book, which the title is It Starts With You. So everything starts with you. So how to recognize your own emotions. So instead of giving you some tricks on how to collaborate with challenging team members, let's start with you and think about your own emotions. So what I recommend you to do is to remember the team member. If you are like working in a team, or if you are a coach, I see there are some coaches here on my presentation as well, and you have someone who is challenging, how does it make you feel? And I know it's challenging sometimes to understand your feelings, especially if you're not the one who likes reflecting and think a lot about feelings. So I prepared the wheel of feelings for you, and you can study it later or read right now and identify how you feel when you collaborate with someone who you claim challenging. And funny story, you notice already that English is not my first language. So many years ago, when I just studied English, we used this wheel to expand our English vocabulary, and not just saying that I feel sad or I feel interested. I could use more words like I feel depressed or discouraged or flattered or surprised or appreciated. But I noticed that it's also a good example to use for enterprises, for retrospectives with the team, and for your own purposes to understand how you feel at this moment and how you feel when you collaborate with a challenging team member. So the question you can ask yourself while you are reflecting about your feelings: what am I feeling at this very moment? What triggered this feeling? And how do I feel after a certain event or a person? Because sometimes I feel really well, really motivated, I'm in a good mood. But when I start talking to someone who I call challenging, I feel kind of drowned. I feel exhausted after that meeting. And why? What triggered this feeling? What did the person say or do or act what made me feel drowned? For some examples, it can be a person is just a slow speaker, or like slow in action, or keep questioning every idea I have, and I am quite like a speedy executor. So whatever idea I have, I want it to be executed right away. And the person is questioning this idea, whereas I know that, no, the idea is cool. So is it actually the person is challenging, or is it my attitude is challenging to this person? Because actually there is nothing wrong in questioning my idea. There is nothing wrong to think ahead without jumping right away to execute. So maybe the problem is not in person, maybe the problem is in myself. But even if the problem is between two of us, so that person is a questioner and I am an executor. So how can we combine our strengths and collaborate with each other? Because if you just keep questioning, you would never act. Or if you act, you will, honestly speaking, screw it up many times on your way. But if you question some ideas or some action in advance, you might avoid some difficult situation. So we really need to know what triggered this feeling before jumping into a solution or tips and tricks on how to collaborate with challenging team members. And how do you feel about a certain event or a certain person in general? So maybe, again, the problem is not about the person, it's just the event itself wasn't well facilitated. And I started having like negative feelings to the person who were at that event. Or how do I feel like in general about the person? Because we are not meant to be liked by everyone. So it can be just like personal attitude, personal mismatch. And again, there is nothing wrong about this person. It's just how I feel about this like personal mismatch. So if I identify the root cause of my feelings, it will be much easier for me to find the best approach on how can I collaborate with someone I assume this person is challenging. And again, I don't call this person challenging in general. It's just he or she is challenging from my personal perspective. Maybe the others find this person fascinating because they have different type of personality, different type of life attitude, different type of professional experience, whatever. So the moral here is start with ourselves, start with yourself before we jump in to another person. But again, if the situation is too challenging and you might feel that I'm losing my passion talking to this person, or I'm losing my patience talking to this person, or I feel unmotivated, or I feel angry, whatever feelings we have, we need to know how to manage them. And to manage them, we need to find a fulcrum before the collaboration. And you see the pictures, the effort and fulcrum. So the man is basically like holding the world because he managed to find the fulcrum, or the man is lifting the huge stone again because he or she is finds the fulcrum. So what I mean by suggesting you find the fulcrum means something what will help you to stay grounded and to stay focused without jumping into emotions towards this person or the event or the situation, and just being an observant and observe the situation from the distance, having the cold head and trying to solve the problem, not solve the person. And the trick on how you can find this fulcrum is to notice 3 things you like about the person without starting collaborating with them. And I know there is a question about the first impression. So yeah, we definitely might have a first impression, which in my case, most of the time is wrong, but we also can help ourselves to get the right first impression and find like 3 things about the person we like about them. And it doesn't mean that we might not see something we don't like, but to start on the positive note, there is always something we like about the person. And now I recommend you to write down on the chat for me what you like about this person, about the girl. It can be like whatever example. We have less than 3 seconds, and I recommend 3 seconds for the beginners. For myself, I spent less than 1 second to find 3 things I like about the person. So I see the first results. Okay, so a joy, a dress, smile, great one. The earrings, hairstyle, dress. Yes, dress is definitely lovely. Okay, more a friendly, smile, open-mindedness, good looking, dress, the colors around. Yes, great. So it can be wherever we want to address in the first second or in the first 3 seconds. So yes, it's can be very irrational even, but we need to ground ourselves thinking of what we like about the person. And I presented this a few times, and I got some comments that actually people don't like this picture because she's too feminine and kind of like represents the old school attitude that women needs to be good looking, wearing heavy uncomfortable dresses, but just to please man's eye. So we might have different attitude and different feelings. When I chose this picture, I thought it's gonna be like easy for us to identify something about this person, because for me as well, as you just like mentioned on the chat, my first 3 things were like her beautiful dress, beautiful smile, and also gracious and good, like looking and having positive energy in general. But for some people, this picture is not attractive, which is fine. It's not attractive, so it means we have a challenge to still find 3 things which will make her more attractive. Okay, let's move on to another picture. So now please find 3 things what you like about this person, the next person on the picture. Okay, please mention on a chat. Okay, I see the first result: easygoing, open-minded, bold, friendly, pink colors. Yeah, it can be wherever you want to choose, whatever you like during the first 3 seconds observing this person. So again, easygoing, fun, open-minded, friendly. Yeah, I like it. I like your answers, guys. So my initial instinct was his or hers, like eyebrows. And I know it's quite silly, but I have less than a minute, so it was an instinct. Like accurate eyebrows, also boldness and openness and passion to do whatever this person like doing. And yeah, just continue doing this exercise wherever you are. If you are outside walking, if you are in the store, if you are in the work meeting, in the bus, wherever. So just like pick up the person and have 3 seconds to identify what you like about them. It takes lots of energy initially if you never try doing it, but then it just becomes like automatically, like you walk or you breathe, you even don't notice. So for me, I've been practicing for many years, and whoever I see, it's subconsciously to me to identify 3 things right away you like doing, or like you like about this person. If it's too challenging for you to identify 3 things, you can start with something simpler, like going to the room or to the bus and identify 3 red items or 3 brown items or green items, and then you start practicing. You challenge your brain, and when you have enough practice with colors, you can do it with people. And remember, people who insist during the meetings or argue on or provide very strong opinion, it means they care. So they insist, or they can be arrogant just because they care. If they don't care, they would be calm and indifferent and would be like, whatever you choose, but do we want this approach in the organization? So before like jumping into emotions, or if you are into emotions, but it's way more challenging when you are in there, just remember that the person cares and you care. So that's something you have in common. You care about this subject, you just have different opinions about that. And ask yourself if they respect you or the team or the organization. And there is a phrase that respect is earned, not given. I agree and I disagree with this, because respect is earned, meaning like professional respect. So if I am an amateur, or even worse, an imposter, and I come to the organization, so I definitely don't deserve a professional respect, but I still deserve respect as a human being, as a person. So even if we disrespect someone on a professional level, we still need to be respectful on the personal level. And so it happened to us. We still respect on the human being level, even if we don't respect on the professional one. But we also need to look for the other party. If they respect us on the personal level, if they disrespect us on the professional level, it can be solved. But if they disrespect us on the personal level, not each communication can be fixed, unfortunately. So sometimes we just need to let these people go, or if it's impossible, to go ourselves if there is no disrespect. So you can't force someone to respect you, but you can refuse to be disrespected. And there is a quote, do not tolerate brilliant jerks. The cost to teamwork is too high. So if they are brilliant, but they are disrespectful, so there is lots of concerns here and about their future in the organization, or our future if the organization tolerates these brilliant jokes. Let's move on to the main part of this presentation, what you've been waiting for, listening about me talking about start with yourself. Finally, tips and tricks on how to collaborate with challenging team members. And let's look at Dunning-Kruger Effect first, and examples of challenging team members. And all of the examples I pictured from my personal life and personal experience. And now looking back, I understand that I was challenging or even toxic. But when I behaved that way, I didn't know that I'm challenging or toxic. And I thought that I'm doing the best I can for the organization, for my team, for people around me. So again, this also helps us to understand another party and to be a bit more patient to them. So most of you heard about Dunning-Kruger Effect and know that when we start like a new field or a new organization, we have lack of confidence and knowledge, but most of the times our confidence grows much faster than knowledge, and we appeared on the mount of stupid, on the top of the mount of stupid, and believe that we know everything and we can solve any problem we have, and be impatient and don't understand people who've been here for like years and still don't see, or like blind to the problem, and what's more, why they are not solving it. So here we are, superheroes, to solve everything and to provide our knowledge and wisdom. Then after a few failures, we fall into a valley of despair, And only after that, we steadily and slowly starting building our wisdom, climbing the slope of enlightenment, building expertise, and further later going to plateau of sustainability. And the first example we have is a hyper enthusiast who is exactly on the top of the Dunning-Kruger mountain. So before claiming this person challenging, we might ask the question how to benefit from their energy. So these people, they have some knowledge, they are excited, they think that they know enough to argue with experienced team members. And again, personal example, when I was 10 years younger, I joined the organization, I saw the challenges, and I just kept chasing everyone around me and pointing on the challenges and jumping into conversation during the meeting without understanding the processes, without understanding the decision making behind the solutions or why the problems are not solved yet. So I kept questioning and providing my wisdom and expertise without understanding what is going on and without finding a common language with my team members. And I thought that I am doing the best for the organization and for my team, but appeared that no, I was just an arrogant brat. So again, remember that sometimes people don't know that they're challenging. So what to do in this case is to load this person with tasks on maximum, so don't give them time to breathe and to argue and to annoy more experienced team members. Give them low recognition because their pride is too high. So if you recognize them, they will feel like, yes, I'm best of the best, so I know better, so I can argue with more experienced team members and break down the peace in the team and just being arrogant. So this is the recommendation how to benefit from the energy, because we can use them. They can provide lots of value for the organization. They have lots of energy compared to the team members who've been into organization for a while. But for us as coaches, we need to help them to switch their energy to the more productive cycle. So this is about hyper enthusiast, and I pictured 2 lions because that's exactly the behavior to proving that they are the best here. They are kings. They know better than the others. So just use this energy until these people have them. You will see in future they will lose the energy. So why not to use it right now? So the next point is a volley of despair. Now, as I mentioned, the person had a few big failures, figure out that no, he is not or she is not as smart as they thought before. Actually, they might even start feeling imposters. They already see how much they need to learn, that they screw up a few times, and might be very discouraged to continue to work. So instead of being an arrogant lion, they become a cuckoo. So in the cuckoo case, we need to remind them what is their value. So these people have lack of confidence, low energy, they avoid tasks because they failed. So now they feel scared or feel demotivated, feel that no, I am not the one I was thinking about myself. I thought I'm a winner, but not, I am a loser. Oh my God, what am I going to do with that? So what to do with such people is first, don't criticize. If we criticize them a lot on this level, on hyper enthusiast, because they think that they know everything, so we don't have to recognize them. Here is the opposite. We don't criticize, and we recognize them for minor achievements. But talking about recognition, all of these conversations are one-on-one, because it will be unfair to praise the cuckoo for every minor thing in front of the other people, and don't recognize the hyper enthusiast for really the big things they've done. So all of this is happening one-on-one, because for hyper enthusiast, we are bringing his pride down, but in the Cuckoo example, we are raising your price up, but don't make decisions for them. Because again, this is created from my personal behavior. When I was the Cuckoo, I had lack of confidence, so I was afraid of making the decisions or do some critical work. So I asked the other team members to help me, kind of like to delegate my responsibilities, to ask their opinion, went to my manager every single time and asking them to make a decision for me. So you encourage the person, but don't make decisions for them. Another example, when we start developing our knowledge, we might find ourselves being a lone wolf. So in this case, the question is, how much value do we lose from another team members? So the characteristic of the lone wolf is you're professional, you're arrogant and dominative, and you don't need a team because you start growing your expertise, and now it's based on the real experience and real example that you might find yourself better than the other team members and more experienced. So you might feel that the others are slowing you down and you don't care about the collective thinking or like being in the team, or even if you have a freelancer mindset, you feel like the collective activities are taking way more time from you. You're here just to make money, and you can spend it more like productively working on your own. But what this person doesn't understand, that thinking like for the best for themselves and for like his or her professional and personal growth, and also bringing more money to the organization, they forget that this arrogant and dominative and sometimes toxic behavior discourage the other team members, and we don't work like fully alone in the organization. We work in teams. So your personal growth is not enough. We are growing as teams, and your behavior affects the team, and the team are demotivated and kind of like started relying on you, or the opposite, they are looking down from this person and stop sharing the information with them, and this person stops sharing the information with the team members. So the information flow stocks, and eventually it causes problems to the team and to the organization. So this person also aims like for best for themselves mostly, but for organization itself, but they don't understand how this behavior affects on the global level. So how much value we lose from the other team members? Are they motivated still or not? Do we share information? So all of this needs to be provided to this person by feedback. So show how the action influence team dynamic. And don't overwhelm them with team culture if they have entrepreneurial or freelancer mindset, but also talk to the team that it's okay if someone doesn't attend all of our team events, they're still our team members, but make sure that there is a mutual respect between the team and this person. And if this person doesn't correct their behavior, just to move them to another project where this person can work solely on the task without having communication. So another example on the slope of enlightenment, it can be mother hen. So where is your drive? Working in the organization for a while, you might lose your motivation. And remember, the enthusiasts, they had like hyper motivation, and mother hen kind of like disappointed on the organizational processes, disappointed on their professional growth. So they kind of like started coming to work just like to make money and to provide some minor value. But since they kind of like lost their interest to the professional growth, they might become overprotective and overcaring for the other team members. So their focus becomes more like feeling and external rather than being ambitious. So they kind of like started behaving like a mother for the team members, like bake cookies at home and then bring it to the team, and nothing wrong about that. But unless it becomes like too much and too much external care rather than care on the professional level. And these people, they make cuckoos because they feel like they help new team members and they protect them from the tough world. So they make tough decisions for them because they feel that they have more experience to do that, or they start doing their work because they are not motivated to do their own work, but at least they feel that, oh, I am bringing value by caring of this person. And no, for us as coaches, we need to help this person to find their drive or to bring their drive back and to bring back their ambitions. So how can we do it? We can give them a completely new project, a new challenge. So the person needed to mobilize their resources, their brain, and maybe find their passion. Remind about personal ambitions and goals, and if it appears that this person doesn't have them anymore, so work together on a one-on-one level and set up new goals which are still motivating for this person. And give them a student or a brand new team member, but not a cuckoo, because cuckoo is not the brand new one, but someone who is like really brand new, so this person still can care if it goes like naturally with them, but also give them a completely new project, so they will be motivated to do something new and to try something new and to use different paths of solving the task, but at the same time still care about someone who really needs to be cared of. And the last example is on plateau of sustainability is the expert. So the question we ask working with the expert, where is the growth? So this person been in the organization or in the field for a while. So they're knowledgeable, but they're untouchable because they know that I'm the expert here. So nobody is going to say something against me because I will blackmail them of quitting the company, and they don't have anyone even close to my knowledge. So they will struggle a lot until they find someone or until they grow someone. So I know my leverage, and that's why I feel untouchable. They might be arrogant, they might outlaw, but they're team players, because you might find some similarities with lone wolf, but lone wolf is the individual who works alone and doesn't care about the team, the company culture, the team culture and team building. The expert is a team player. They like working with the team. They like mentoring and coaching, but they're just too bored in what they do, and they didn't see anyone equal in the organization for a while. So they start feeling untouchable and kind of like behave the way they want, again, without understanding how this affects the other team members. So what to do, again, providing this person one-on-one feedback that we appreciate your knowledge, but think how you affect and how your behavior affects the other people. The other people might feel hierarchical. Hey, this person can come like 15 minutes late to the meeting and disrespect all of our time and the organizational money spending for people's time waiting for this person. So he brings lots of money by being an expert, but he also wastes money being disrespectful. And since they're team players, they, at least like subconsciously, they respect their team members. So they might not even like understand how their behavior affects the team morale in general. So provide them feedback, give them a junior team member, because again, they're team players, they might like teaching, or even if they don't like teaching, they prefer like to be kind of like in between the lone wolf and the expert. They have no choice just to provide the knowledge, and the best student to give them is actually the hyper enthusiast. So hyper enthusiast will think that they're smarter than the expert and kind of like try to fight as an alpha male, like alpha lion. And the expert will be like, no way, this is my place, and no one like young or junior by expertise like yourself won't do it. So the expert naturally will bring the hyper enthusiast down and show them their place, but the hyper enthusiast eventually will become the mentee for the expert, because eventually the expert will see some features in the hyper enthusiast he used to have or she used to have when they were like younger or like started working in the organization. So eventually, after they like storming with each other, they will actually help each other to grow, and the junior team member will challenge the expert to like think differently and think out of the box by providing teaching. So it's going to be a good match for the team and for the organization. And also knowledge transfer sessions. Well, because the person is too experienced, we need to make sure that the knowledge is still inside the organization, even if the person leaves tomorrow or like whatever is going to happen. So it's never late to start growing the other team members. So knowledge transfer sessions are also a good approach to balance the skills. So these are basically like 5 examples of challenging team members and how to collaborate with them. I focused mostly on the collaboration as a coach, because I see that today the audience are mostly coaches or team leaders or like managers or whoever like holding the leadership position. So if you are a team member and you find some examples I've shared with your team members, so we're going to have a Q&A question. So please raise your hand and we can talk about your situation. And look in the mirror, because these examples are based on my personal behavior. So I didn't know that I behave as toxic, and we are talking about collaborating with someone who is challenging. But what if you are actually a challenging team member and you don't know that? So it's always, again, helps to look at the mirror and ask for feedback from your peers until you find yourself in one of these examples. So something to think about before you start the conversation with challenging team members. So remember that our strengths are our weaknesses. And how do these person's strengths help the organization or yourself? And how do they distract? So for example, I'm a very peacemaking person. I'm a diplomatic, which is my strength when I need to collaborate actually in a tough environment where there's like lots of conflict. But it's my weakness when it gets to the point when I need to fight for the resources, or like in some situation where you need to get more assertive approach and being like peacemaking and kind of like, yes, please go ahead, you need it more. This approach doesn't help in specific situations. So my strength becomes my weakness in some situation. And the opposite, there are some assertive people who likes fighting and likes providing resources, let's say, for like their team, and they are like the most vocal in the meeting, where the environment is like to fight and prove your ego, or like prove that you are the alpha here in the room. They're the best. Please don't ask me to come and like fight for you in the room. Ask someone like them. But when we are in an environment where you need diplomacy, their strength becomes their weakness. So again, before giving the feedback or like changing someone's behavior, think if their behavior is really like helping in some case, yourself or your team or your organization, and give the feedback when they still can use their strengths, but the situation when they need kind of like laid off and let the other person deal with this specific situation or this person. Another question to think about, how well do you know this person? And you were asked about, you're asking about the first impression initially. So yeah, first impression is first impression, but how well do you know this person? So like many times when I facilitated the team building activities, appeared that people didn't know each other from the personal level at all. And we had a product owner or a scrum master or tech lead a few times when the team didn't get along well with them. But when the person shared how adventurous they are in their personal lives, that they climbed Kilimanjaro or like flew the plane, the team dynamic changed, the attitude changed, because they started seeing this person from a different perspective. And they just stopped being challenging anymore, despite that work challenges remained the same after this team building activity, but people naturally found the way to collaborate and overcome them. So how well do you know this person? Maybe you need to go to the bar after work and get some drink and to know each other better. So another question to think about, what is your ideal coworker? Is this persona convenient for you? Or is this persona suitable for their role and the environment and push challenges? So kind of like reflection on the first question. Who would be the best coworker for yourself? And for me, being like a peacemaker and diplomatic, I would describe a person who would be like seeking harmony and being quiet and introversial, so I will feel comfortable with them. But that is my selfish desire. Let's look at the organizational purposes. If we are both introversial and peace-seeking, harmony-seeking, but there is a situation like, I don't know, fight for the budget or for the resources, or like we started like being overloaded with work, we would need someone who would fight for us. Are we able to fight for ourselves? Probably not. So now I'm questioning myself, is this really ideal coworker for me? Or maybe I would prefer to have some challenges with someone who is the opposite of me, but in case I need the opposite skills, someone would be ready to take my back. So another question to think about. So forget about your preferences now and what is the ideal persona for this specific role. So kind of a following question for the third one. So we were talking about generic persona. Now let's talk about a business analyst or a product owner or a scrum master. So again, if I am seeking someone who is open-minded, extroversial, easygoing, and I have the opposite type who is a business analyst, do we really need like an easygoing, extroverted feeling business analyst whose job is actually focusing on numbers, providing data, gathering right information from the stakeholders and being a translator between the stakeholders and technical people? Do we really need this person to be feeling oriented? Would it be helpful for me on the professional level, or I would just be feeling comfortable with them on my personal level? Hey, this person is an easygoing, let's go and have some beers after work. But when it gets to work and I am a developer, for example, and this person is just about feeling and doesn't provide enough like requirements and enough data for me in my user story, because they don't have patience, let's say, to analyze and to work with data, it's boring for them because they're too easygoing. Is this personality suitable for their role? Probably not. And the last question, are your boundaries clear? Because I found many times when I collaborated with challenging people, they cross out my boundaries, but was I really clear where my boundaries are? Or was I like trying to please anyone being a new team member and like, yes, guys, I will always here for you and you can delegate your task. I'm here to help. So people start delegating because I was asked for that, or they asked me a few times and I never said no. So they believe that I'm happy doing that. And I think that they are challenging because they don't respect my boundaries and my time. And I feel that I'm their own secretary. But did I address my boundaries before? No, again. So maybe the problem is not in them, it's in me. And the last slide for here is language tips. So when you collaborate with someone you have difficult communication, you can switch your language and you will find it helpful sometimes. So instead of providing the feedback like you are always saying the wrong things, you might switch to your feelings and say, I feel upset when you speak to me that way. Or like instead of you are acting irritating, I feel that your behavior is making it hard for me to focus. Or like instead of why don't you ever listen to me? I feel unheard and do have time to talk. And the last one is instead of saying you just don't understand me, never accuse people, be respectful, because now you're the one who sounds disrespectful by saying you just don't understand me, or you are acting irritating, or like you are always saying wrong things. It's finger pointing, it's disrespecting. So the question is, who is challenging right now? So switch your language and say, I feel like you don't understand me and it's making me upset. And some tips for the feedback. So watch out for nonverbal signals so you know how the other person is feeling, because sometimes there is too much feedback and the person is not in the mood to receive such feedback. So there is no point to continue if the person becomes defensive and their goal is to protect themselves. So watch for nonverbal signals. Don't just describe your feelings. Don't make it just about yourself. So the previous slide, yeah, it was a lot about your feeling, but that's just how you start the conversation. Don't make the whole conversation about your feelings. Now make a request for what you would like to see happen next and come up with a plan of action and be solution oriented, because we are here, have a challenge and we need to find a solution how to solve it. And focus on the behavior that is bothering you. Don't make it about person. As I said, it's finger pointing and disrespecting. And thank you very much. Hope it was useful. And yeah, I already see at least 10 questions on the chat. So let's jump into your questions.